Hi, I'm Kathryn Costa, and I'd like to welcome you to Travel with Me by Moonlight. In this series, we started with the new moon in Capricorn, and here's a look at the mandala that I created for that lunation. At the new moon, we take a look at setting intentions, and with this one is at the beginning of the year. So looking out on the year ahead, I asked those of you following along, what is it that you really desire? Then, creating this mandala, we paired it with the root chakra to help support us. Because Capricorn energy is all about looking at what mountains we want to climb, what we want to achieve, what do we most desire, and what structures do we need to put in place in order to get them. And the root chakra is the best of all the 7 chakras to help support us in having that idea and taking the steps, step by step, like that Capricorn, like that mountain goat, going up and scaling the mountain. The next lunation was the full moon in Leo. And here at full moons, we look at what's come full circle. It might have been since the last month, or it might be a year in the making, or many years. So when we come to a close with something, that frees up our energy for what's to come next. But often we experience full moons with lots of tension. And that can be triggered by things that we haven't been paying attention to, that's coming up to the surface in this moment. So we use the time of the full moon to meet ourselves where we're at, see what's coming up, and releasing it, letting go of that in a number of ways. Now, with Leo energy, Leos are very jovial, have a lot of energy, and they're known for being creative. So the tension that may be coming up related to the intention you set with the Capricorn new moon is you set an intention, you come up with a plan, and then a week later or a month later, you get some fears coming up. You might be feeling overwhelmed. You may have some doubts. You may have some doubts about your creativity, your ability to take your ideas and translate them into reality. You see, creativity isn't limited to just the visual arts. It's also in how we create our life, right? We're creating in every moment. So to support us in really healing any wounding around our belief in our natural abilities and talents to be put into service for realizing our dreams, we look to this Sacral Chakra, and that is the seat of our creativity. What's absolutely fascinating is the relationship between the full moons and the new moons. So here we have the full moon in Leo. The work that we do at the full moon always prepares us for the upcoming new moon. And the relationship of these two moons, we can see on the zodiac chart. In the case of Leo, it is opposite Aquarius. Now, the qualities between these two signs are opposing one another. They're polar opposites, but we can also think of them as complementary. It's all in how we frame it. Each of these signs has characteristics that the other one can learn from. And when we bring in those opposite qualities, it helps us to balance and bring harmony into our lives. All right, so each sign has its strengths, but it also has its shadow aspects, areas that are its vulnerable spots, right? So at the full moon, this is where we focus in on those shadow aspects and look at healing. At the new moon, we've already done our healing work from the last lunation. At the new moon, we've got a renewed sense of energy, and we look at and we're feeling empowered of what we can do next as we move forward with following our curiosity and our interests and pursuing our aspirations. All right, so let's take a look at what I've designed for the new moon in Aquarius. And you can see here, very different color scheme, We've got the symbols of Aquarius and Uranus, and at the center, the chakra that I've chosen for us to work with to support us is the third eye chakra. Now, as you look at all of these mandalas, you're going to see a lot of similarities and differences. There's some different symbols within them. At the center of each one, we have the chakra that I've associated with that moment. And to create these, I used my stencils from StencilGirl Products. So later on in this video, I'm going to show you which stencils I used to design this one and how quick and easy you can get that drawn up. You can get this design drawn up in like 5 minutes and then spend most of your time reflecting on the lessons from this video and working with the energies, in this case, of Aquarius and the third eye chakra. So let's learn more about this. Let's do that. The design has 4 gates, and at each entry point is Aquarius, who is our guide. At the center is the symbol of the third eye chakra, and in the corners we see Uranus, which is the ruling planet of Aquarius. The featured gemstone is angelite, and my piece is carved in the shape of the angel. So I'm going to take you inside one of my very favorite places, which is my vision journal. And this is my vision journal for 2021. And I have a page that, actually a spread, that's 2 pages, dedicated to Aquarius. I think it's a great starting point for not only learning about Aquarius, but also to show you another way that you can visually express and create with the themes for this lunation. Let's take a closer look at those journal pages together, shall we? Aquarius is known as the water bearer, and in the tarot is depicted like we see in this beautiful wine label from Prophecy. All of the same archetypal symbols and elements from the tarot are seen right here in this label. Now, it's easy to think of Aquarius as a water sign because it's the water bearer, when in fact it is an air sign. And air is the realm of the mind, one of the great thinkers of the zodiac. When we look at that jug of water in this depiction of Aquarius, it is pouring from the sky. And what it's pouring is truth. Okay, that represents the divine knowledge, insights, and inspirations. When we look at this figure, we see that she is pouring water to nourish the earth. And over to the right, you can even see 5 little rivulets. Those represent the 5 senses. You see 1 large star and 7 smaller stars. Those 7 smaller stars represent the 7 chakras. Now, there are other air signs in the chart, and what distinguishes Aquarius from the other thinkers is that it's very innovative in the way that the Aquarian thinks. So Aquarians are very gifted in having insights that others may not, right? Really having this connection with divine inspiration. And when we talk about creativity, often we feel that there is this connection with spirit working through us. So Aquarians are known as innovators. They're known often as seen as not displaying a lot of emotion. They tend to be cool-headed and objective. There are 3 different characteristics and qualities among the signs. You've got your personal signs, your interpersonal signs, how they're very into relating to other people, but then there are the transpersonal signs, and Aquarius is an example of a transpersonal. So often people find people who are Aquarians as aloof and are put off by the appearance of not having strong emotions. It's just that for the typical Aquarian, they don't express their emotions in the same way. It doesn't mean that they lack any caring. They just tend to be more on the objective side. The Aquarian is also focused in on these objective truths and this very creative, innovative way of looking at life and interested in how they can put that in service in a humanitarian way. Inspired by the way Aquarians look at the world, I ask myself the question, what am I not seeing? My affirmation is, I listen to the small voice within. I recognize that new insights can strike like lightning and can clear the air, especially when feeling too emotional. I learn from the Aquarians to be more objective and not get caught up in the personal aspect. Now, as a Leo, my sun sign is in Leo. That means that Aquarius is my polar opposite. So your earth sign is always opposite where your sun sign is. And the earth sign represents your dharma. Your dharma represents your life here on earth. So if you think of ourselves as spiritual beings having a physical experience, our dharma is, what are we doing in our daily lives? What are the spiritual practices as well as the everyday earthly practices, like taking care of our body and our home and showing up for our work? What is our dharma? What is the things that we need to do in this life and in this lifetime for balancing this reality of being a spiritual being having a physical experience? Now, to help us to better understand the characteristics of the Aquarian, I'm looking to the 3rd eye chakra. It is the seat of our intuition. The color associated with this chakra is indigo. Another color to think of with this chakra is that midnight blue, where it's really a dark sky, but it's got that blue tone to it. And at that time of night, we do not see with our 2 eyes. It's hard to see, it's so dark. And so we have to rely on our other senses. So this represents how we have this 6th sense, this intuitive sense that we can call upon for navigating our life and understanding our world. Now, when this energy center within our body is balanced, we're able to think symbolically. People with a balanced 3rd eye chakra is quite imaginative, perceptive, sensitive. They can connect images and feelings. There's a deep inner knowing, and they have mystical experiences. When the energy is not balanced in the 3rd eye chakra, one has a harder time thinking abstractly or using symbolic thinking, may lack imagination, may be stuck in one truth and unable to see a bigger picture. There may be this more dualistic viewpoint. They may invalidate the psychic experiences of others, invalidate mystical visions, or even deny the existence of an intuitive intelligence, an intuitive sense. Now, when looking at the left at the 3rd eye chakra, at the symbols, we have a circle with a downward pointing triangle and 2 lotus petals. The concept behind this 3rd eye chakra can be compared to the Venn diagram, where we have 2 circles overlapping. Each of those circles can represent two very dualistic, very opposing concepts. Let's take, for example, our physical material world versus our spiritual world, our spiritual life. Where they overlap, that space there, we can see in the diagram here, it's called a mandorla. It's an Italian word that means almond, that describes the shape there. That mandorla space represents an understanding or a coming together of these two opposing qualities, or these two opposing aspects. This is representative of the third eye chakra, where we see that we have transcended when our third eye chakra is balanced, and we're really connected to that. We transcend any sense and feeling of duality. We're able to rise above like the sacred observer and have an understanding of how two different things can come together and create something new. That newness in there is often where the Aquarians intuit and have insights that are innovative, that are that integrate, or where there's a synergy. It's where a lot of insights and great ideas come forth in the realm of science and technology or the arts. So this is very radical thinking often, and they're an amazing creative force that is forward thinking and moves our society forward with their unique ideas. Now, I'd like to note that mandorla is a shape that we see in a lot of Christian art. And we often see depicted within that almond shape, within that mandorla, the Christ figure or the Virgin Mary. And what this represents is the incarnation of the divine. And whenever I see the third eye chakra, I really see it as an eye, and that helps me. It's a reminder of the insights that we get when we trust our intuition and open ourselves up for new ways of thinking. On the back side of my mandala, I took some notes, so you can see that at the very top, this is to remember that this moment reflects the new moon on February 11th, 2021, that Aquarius is an air sign. That if you look to the left, there's my little doodle of the third eye chakra. Aquarians are about innovation, synthesis, seeing the unseen via the third eye chakra. The stars, you see that under the word Aquarius, I've got the 7 little stars representing the 7 chakras. I drew a silver bigger star representing spirituality, renewal, insights. The symbol for Aquarius are those 2 lines that could look like water, like those 2 rivers that are in that was depicted in the tarot image. I like to think of them as more like thought waves, and they're almost like lightning bolts. And if you look more to the right, we see how lightning strikes, and that's where we get new insights, and it clears the air. A note that it is the water bearer, and it is truth that is flowing from the ideas that Aquarius brings to us. I associate this archetype with Athena, the Greek goddess, because she's very objective and very strategic. So for those of you who've done some training with me around the Greek goddess archetypes, that's a great review for you. So think of Athena, and that will help you to understand this Aquarian archetype. The owl is a great example of an animal that is known for its incredible night vision and helping to see what we cannot see during the daylight or with our normal vision at night. The owl is the ally of Athena and as often helps Athena to see things and help her with her strategic thinking. Uranus is the planet that is associated with Aquarius. It is the ruling planet. Uranus is known for bringing unexpected changes. So it's sort of like that lightning strikes and all of a sudden, you're going through life and all of a sudden you have an upset. Something interrupts your normal routines. And if you can see the silver lining in it, you can recognize the opportunities for growing and understanding, and whatever strike happens, whatever change happens, then that helps you with seeing new ways of doing and being. One thing at the very bottom, you'll see it says caution. Watch out for getting fixated on your ideas. That's one thing about Aquarians, is they have these great innovative ideas. They have a way of seeing things different than everybody else. But they can get kind of stuck on those ideas. They have a hard time seeing other ways or bringing in other perspectives. So that's one of the drawbacks. So in the case of your own intentions, are you getting kind of stuck in thinking there's only one way to do what it is that you're setting out with your dreams? I work with affirmations to help me with connecting with the energies of the archetype. So here, the big one at the bottom is, I am open to new ways of looking at things. And you look over to the right, are some more. One is, I embrace new opportunities. I want to share what I know to help others discover and transform. And I listen to the small voice within. These are the stencils that I used for drawing this mandala. There's the Four Gates mandala, the third eye chakra, the celestial bodies that have the different planetary glyphs and the glyphs for the luminaries, like the sun and the moon. And then there's the zodiac chart, and at the bottom of that are the glyphs, also known as symbols, for the zodiac signs. All of these are available for purchase directly from StencilGirl Products, and you can find a link to StencilGirl Products below this video. So I'm using a watercolor paper and a sharp pencil, just a simple number 2 pencil. You can see that there are 3 rows to draw on the 4-gate stencil, and I'm using the 2 outer rows. I don't use the inner row because the chakra stencils don't fit. You need the space. So in this particular one, unlike the other 2 that I've drawn in this series, the other 2 I only drew just the second row. This one I'm using both the second and the first row of the stencil. And you just kind of follow it along, follow those 2 pathways as you go around. Here's a look at the third eye chakra stencil. It fits beautifully in the center of that 4 gates mandala. The traditional symbol for the third eye chakra is at the center. And then there's the circle, and there are these lotus petals that go around. I added those lotus petals just to add more area for creative expression. And the shape of each of those sort of reminds me of a wishbone. Once you have those drawn, then I put the symbol for Aquarius at each of those 4 gates. And in the corner, I put the symbol for Uranus. That's a great reminder of the energy of that ruling planet that helps us to see things differently. Then there are these gaps that are a natural part of the stencil. I just fill those in, and then you color it with your favorite medium. Here's a look at my altar this week. It has the Aquarius new moon mandala. So my featured gemstone for this mandala is angelite, and that gemstone has the element of spirit, known for its angelic communication, higher guidance. This is a stone that's very soothing, peaceful, and comforting. Mine is carved in the shape of an angel and fits really nicely in the hand. It's one that I think I'll probably pick up whenever I start feeling uncertainty or stressed. It would fit great in a pocket or carry it in your purse. I like having it on my altar with this mandala because it provides some additional support around working with that third eye chakra and being receptive to receiving messages from spirit guides. It's thought that the angelite helps to deepen your ability to recognize and interpret synchronistic messages, and it's associated with miracles. Interestingly enough, this stone is only found in Peru. So look what flew in and landed on my altar. Pictured here is a custom design animal spirit energy altar designed by my friend and soul sister, Patricia Mosca. Patricia's process for creating is highly intuitive. She co-creates lovingly with spirit. Her creative process is one where she asks the person she's designing for what their intentions are. And I shared with her how one of my many intentions for this year is to really open up that goddess, high priestess, that spiritual side of me and that spiritual guide that's within me as I look to share in a greater way with my audience the soulful and creative lifestyle that I have. I mentioned that I was interested in one of her animal guides versus one. She also creates these beautiful spirit messengers, these dolls that are there, these guides. But I felt really, I felt a strong desire to welcome an animal, and I didn't tell her what animal. I think it's absolutely incredible that she picked up on the owl and how the owl ties in perfectly with the theme for this week, which is that this new moon in Aquarius and having this night vision and working with the third eye chakra, which I know keeps showing up for me. We see it with the peacock, and I'm going to talk more about the peacock in future videos and the role of peacock in this third eye element, because all of these chakras that I'm introducing with each of these videos, we're just touching on one element of it. So I'm emphasizing here the beautiful spirit of the owl as an ally who can help us with seeing things and bringing that great counsel. Just like Athena had her owl on her shoulder and helping her with her intuition, we can call upon animal spirit anytime we want to bring in and tap into our intuition in different ways of seeing things in a very, like that sacred observer, that strategic thinking. For more information about Patty and her spirit inspired art, check out my in the description below. I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Kathryn Costa from TrueNorthArts.com, and I'm your instigator for soulful and creative living. If you are curious to learn more about vision journals, or about chakras, or about traveling by moonlight, be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And check out the links below for more resources on ways that you can learn from me and also ways that we can create and connect. Thank you for joining me, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks for the next lunation.